Well, life is full of unknowns. According to podcaster Brenda Palmer, that's okay. She says the best life isn't about having it all figured out. It's about saying yes to the one who does.
Brenda Palmer is an itinerant preacher, Bible study leader, and host of the weekly podcast, Life in Perspective. With her new first book, The Journey of Yes, Brenda unpacks this idea. She says saying yes to God's leading may be costly, but results in abundance. Recounting stories from her own life, Brenda explains that God's purpose for our lives is much more about knowing Him than our plans and goals.
Well, Brenda Palmer is here with us now. And Brenda, we welcome you to the 700 Club. It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Terry.
Talk a little bit, if you will, about what we're saying yes to. This is the title of your book. And so what do you mean when you talk about that?
Yes, saying yes is essentially saying yes to the unknown. But for me, it was saying yes to the life that God planned for me over the one I desired for myself. So I moved to LA to work as a producer in entertainment and television. And God said, yes, that sounds great, but I have better for you. And at the height of my career taking off, God asked me to walk away from this with a simple question of, will you trust me? Yes. Trust me enough to leave what you think is the life you want into a life that I will provide for you.
Sometimes when when we figure it out, what we think we want, what we think is right for us, or what our gifts are, you know, we miss what God's plan is because we're busy doing our own. You can't do both, right?
No, not at all. And I was a PK, so I actually wanted nothing to do with ministry. Like, I grew up and I was like, anything but that. I'll be a zookeeper, and I don't even, animals aren't really my thing. But Lord, whatever you want me to do, please don't let it be that.
Gordon's listening to this right now, I just want to say.
And I'm like, no. And God's like, yeah, because even the thing that we run from, we are sometimes called to. Yeah. And so the irony that I would end up in ministry and preaching all over the world, my dad is getting a kick out of it every time.
And thanking God.
Yes. And I just realized my life is better in God's hands. I've had the opportunity to do things I would have never even been brave enough to dream just because I said yes. And in the moment, I had no idea what I was actually saying yes to. So it's not about the things I've experienced. It's about the fact that I got to meet a God that I learned about growing up, and now He's real to me, and we have a relationship that's solid.
There's a trust factor in that you can't get anywhere else. But how do you know, Brenda, how did you know in your own life when God was asking you to do something, or when you were just pondering things yourself? How did you know it was from God?
That's a great question. I think that God calls us into things that require us to depend on Him. I wouldn't stretch myself beyond my comfortability. I want to be safe. I want to know. And so I think that's how I decipher it. It's like, if this thing is so much bigger than me, it requires me to depend on the Lord, I know this is God.
So that's scary. I mean, what you're saying is scary. It's like leaping off the cliff, not knowing who's going to catch you at the bottom. Well, you do know who's going to catch you, but trusting that He will. Yeah. How did you overcome the fear factor in that?
I think I'm more afraid of not following God than taking a step into the unknown with Him. There's a certain covering that comes when God is calling me versus me staying back because I'm afraid. And I've learned I've learned the difficulty of life when I choose to not follow God. And so I'm more afraid of those consequences than I am to stepping into the unknown with a God who will never fail me.
You know, ultimately, I think God does ask this of us. Not everybody says yes to it, but my pattern is like yours. I moved to LA and was embarked on this thing I was doing, and then God took me away from the very thing I'd spent my life preparing for and thought I wanted to do. And I look back at that and I think how much I would have missed.
Man.
If I'd stayed there.
Yes. Yeah. I think that is the amazing thing about God. He's like, you think you know.
Yes.
But what I'm in, like whatever God's asked me to walk away from, this is all it will ever be. But to take a step towards God, it gives Him the ability to expand what we could have even dreamed of. And I think the same thing. I'm like, I've been in rooms that it probably still would take me 10 years from now to get in, that God's graced me to go in, because now I have the understanding that I'm in that room for the glory of God and to do whatever He needs me to do, not build my own career.
You know, it's scary to let go of things that are familiar to us or that are dreams that we've held for ourselves. But there's an adventure factor in all of this that is very exciting, actually, because every day is a fresh new slate. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Has that proven true for you?
Yes, absolutely. I feel like every day that's why I call it an everyday adventure, because I feel like I get to wake up and instead of like having my day planned out, it's like, okay, God, what do you want to do with this day? And how do you want to move? Where do we want to go? And I feel like, yeah, I couldn't have dreamed of all the things I've gotten the opportunity to do.
You know, they're in relationships. There's usually a learning capacity in all of that. You're learning about the other person. Mm-hmm. You're learning about yourself in the process. Have you ever made a mistake in all of that?
All the time. I think sometimes when you get a rhythm, you feel like, okay, God, I got it. Thank you for getting me this far, but I got it. And then we try to figure it out on our own, and then I go, oh, actually, I don't have it.
Yeah. Excuse me.
Yes. And that even happened to me this week. I felt like God told me to step into something, and I did, but I didn't ask him how, or the pacing, or the timing, or
you gotta take him with you.
You gotta take him with you. It's not just a good, I don't want the overview. Yeah. I want the present every day, every second, every minute. And so I think I tend to get ahead of myself. And so I realize it's why God always reels me back and say, okay, I'm the source. You got to come to me for all things.
Even though God created us to do that, woos us into that, there are consequences to saying yes. I mean, you wouldn't be honest if you didn't say there's a price sometimes to pay. Talk a little about that.
For sure. For me, a lot of times, sometimes it's alienating because everybody doesn't understand. Like quitting my job to go into the unknown is crazy. My parents are like, we sent you to college.
Yeah,
you have
love
a
God,
job.
but.
We love God. But this is not making sense. There's that part. And then I think there's also like, man, sometimes it's hard when you don't know where the next check is coming from, and you just have to believe that God's going to provide. That's a hard space to live in the natural, when we like, God, I know you live outside of time, but in this time, I need this bill paid.
Yes.
And so like trying to find balance in, I know God's going to make a way, but right now this is hard. And I think I vacillate between the two.
Well, also, I think seasons of waiting exist for all of us. And it's one thing to trust when things are moving and you can kind of feel the rhythm you're talking about. But then there's the waiting season, which is a challenge.
Very much. I'm in one right now. I'm single, and I'm waiting on the Lord to send my husband.
Well, there you go, gentlemen. She's beautiful. She's available.
And so I think that it is that, right? It's that balance, but I feel like God is consistent.
Yes.
And so who he was in the past season when he came through, I can apply that same version of God to the season of waiting and know that like in his time, he'll do exactly what he said.
Aren't you so glad he never changes?
So glad.
Everything else does.
Everything, but he's the only consistent thing, and he's solid.
Yes, yes, he is. It's a wonderful book. It's a wonderful message. It's really the invitation of God to all of us. And you can get Brenda's book anywhere where books are sold. It's called The Journey of Yes, and it's available nationwide. Brenda, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, Terry, for having me.
Great to have you here.